Hi, everybody. Mitch Tannenbaum here. Thanks for joining me today for the Security News Update. And let's start with the video blog. Of course, you're watching this video blog or listening to it, so no news there, but there is a new video that describes for defense contractors what a DibCAC audit might look like. And if that's not enough to scare you into getting compliant, then I don't know what is, but definitely check that out. 10 minutes worth your while. CMMC, what happens if we submit a response to an RFP and we're not CMMC compliant? If there is a 7025 clause in the RFP saying, you got to be CMMC, whatever the requirement is, the first thing that the contracting officer is going to do is look to see whether you're an EMAS or SPURS. And if you're not, they're just going to put that in the pile that says does not comply, sends you probably a form letter that says you don't comply, and move on to the next one. Remember, they have every incentive to disqualify people because that just means there's less RFP responses they have to read and filter through. So obviously, if you need help, please reach out to us. Reference department, this is kind of interesting. So Nevada, you may remember, had a cybersecurity incident. Their government agencies, or state agencies, were basically down for about a month. Those 60 of the government agencies, not all of them, but 60, large number. They say in their after action report that they spent 4,000 hours of overtime. So you can figure out what the number is there. They were able to recover only 90% of the data, and they were out of service for a month. And they consider that a success. I don't know about you, but if that happened to my company, I'd probably be out of business, and I certainly wouldn't call that a success. If you would like us to look at your incident response program, we'd be happy to do that. It can be very cost effective, and hopefully you can recover in less than a month. That's a long time. And granted, that is certainly not the longest time that anybody has spent, but that is a long time. In the important patches, one more time, Fortinet is publishing a patch to a flaw in FortiWeb. If your Fortinet devices are not public-facing, then you're probably okay. Although I always say better safe than sorry, and deploy the patch anyway. This patch is being exploited, and it allows the hacker, assuming you meet the conditions for it to be exploitable, to create new user admin accounts without having to authenticate themselves. Needless to say, that's probably not a great thing. In the legislative and legal department, the feds have seized $15 billion in crypto linked to a company in Cambodia. And this crypto is linked to the company, 146 people, and 117 shell companies. Obviously, this is, one of those scam factories, I guess would be the best word. The UK seized properties, including a $100 million office building, a $15 million mansion, and 17 apartment buildings. So that's pretty effective, I would say. And there's all kinds of detailed information about how this scam ran, because it was a business. They were making like $30 million a day scamming people. And they obviously thought they were out of the reach of the law, which might be okay if all their assets were in Cambodia, but apparently that's not the case. So, that's pretty cool. 15 billion in crypto. That's a nice day's work. FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, Section 702, which gives the federal government broad surveillance powers, including over U.S. citizens, will expire in April. This continues to be a thorny point. Clearly, being able to do surveillance of the bad guys is a good thing and probably has some benefits. But there's a lot of people who are unhappy with how broad those surveillance powers are and how little oversight there is. So, some of the Democrats supported that. Last time it was up for renewal, which I think was 2 years ago. Congress might just kick it down the road to say, it expires in April. Let's just renew it for 6 months until after the elections, and then this won't be an issue for the elections. Some Democrats are saying not so fast, Bucky. So we shall see where that goes, but that is up for grabs in April. Under education, this is pretty bizarre to me, but Google wants to create AI data centers in space. They plan on building satellites that they're calling Project Suncatcher that would launch data centers into space, equipped with their Google-built tensor processing units, which are special AI processors. It's solar powered, so the satellites would follow the sun. And at least in tests, they have super high-speed communications, like 1.6 terabits per second. Pretty cool. How many of those could you launch? I don't know. See where they pull it off. AI prompt injection attacks make system logs useless for forensics because the attacks occur inside the AI processor. So that's kind of interesting. You might want to think about that. The Anthropic is spending billions of dollars on data centers. Meta says they're going to spend $600 billion. OpenAI / Oracle / SoftBank says they're going to spend $500 billion. Anthropic, which is a smaller cousin, says they're going to spend $50 billion. It says over $1 trillion of data center capacity. Is there demand for $1 trillion worth of data? I don't know. But people are betting big on it for sure. In the breaches department, DocTech firm Kazoo, I guess is how you pronounce it, Kazu, they lost 350 gigabytes of patient data. These guys are vendors to doctors, and in particular, there's one doctor practice group, I guess it is, called Doctor Alliance. Kazoo is the hacking group. Doctor Alliance is the victim, and they provide document and billing technology to doctors, and they also provide other services. The hackers want $200,000 in exchange for not posting the data, and the data leak so far is typical stuff you see: date of birth, address, phone number, names, email, insurance numbers, diagnosis, treatment plans, and more. 3 proposed class actions have already been filed. More will be filed. They're claiming negligence, so if they pull that one off, that could get really ugly for these guys. The company claims that the hack was limited to one account, but the data doesn't seem to indicate that's accurate. So we'll see as more comes out. The Republicans are offering a privacy bill for health data. Haven't read it, so I don't know what the exemptions are for it. But if you think about all the health data that's being collected by wearables and health apps for your phone and stuff, none of that's covered by HIPAA. So it's probably due for an overhaul. Whether what the Republicans are proposing makes any sense or really protect it, I don't know. More companies are blocking U.S. technology. Partly this is to go protect their own companies, and partly this is to escape the clutches of the likes of Microsoft and Oracle, people like that have pretty expensive license agreements. So, for example, some countries are moving away from Windows to Linux, which doesn't have a license agreement because countries are big enough to support themselves for the most part. So we'll see where that goes, but and I don't see Microsoft going out of business anytime soon. But these guys are trying to gobble up the world. If the world doesn't like it, then that's a problem for them. AI is growing leaps and bounds very quickly, and Chinese spies used commercial AI tools, nothing special, out of the box commercial tools, to successfully break into companies. Now, if they can really pull this off, and it was about 90% automated, that means that you can hack 24/7 with very few people. And since hacking is a business and it has a P&L, obviously, if you can increase the number of companies you can break into and reduce the number of people it takes to do that, well, that's good for your bottom line. Not necessarily good for the companies that got hacked, but it's certainly good for the hackers. DoD has proposed what they say will be Cyber Command, and they don't like this term, 2.0. But they say is not going to be fully deployed for 5 or 10 years, which is kind of a problem. As the president has upped the ante for U.S. companies to get H-1B visas, other countries like China are rolling out the red carpet and say, well, don't pay the United States $100,000, come here instead. So that could be a combination of a brain drain plus getting talent that we would not prefer that China has. So all of that's a problem. Whether the president will go off and review that idea of charging $100,000 for H-1B visas, unclear. Google has launched a civil lawsuit over text messaging phishing. You get to all these messages as, the DMV says you haven't paid your ticket, or you have a parking fine, or Easy Pass, or UPS, all those. That's coming out of one big group in China, and Google has launched a civil suit. I don't think they'll ever get anywhere with it, but at least it'll point to the fact that these guys are being watched. SAP, if you use their products, is pushing a patch for a bug rated 9.9. That's pretty high. And lastly, insurance companies are using AI-powered balloons to photograph homes for insurance risk assessments. I don't exactly understand why they don't just use drones. I don't understand why they need the balloons, but the balloons can be dropped from a higher altitude. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it can cover more area or somehow. But anyway, the point is they're using drones with cameras to basically spy on you, which is legal, and look at your property and decide whether they want to drop your insurance or not. So, put a big tent over your house and your property. I don't think that'll work. So that's all for today. If your view of Nevada's definition of success, meaning that it cost them 4,000 hours of overtime, they got 90% of their data back, and it took them a month, is different than your definition of success, and you're not sure whether you could do it in less time, then reach out to us. We'll be happy to work with you to figure out whether that's true or not. So until next time, stay safe, and thanks for listening.